Hi, welcome to Kim's Art Show. We are on episode 14, and I have been doing a painting every episode or every 2 episodes, and then showing the result of me taking the paintings back to my studio and spending some time. So something interesting happened between the last show and this one we're recording today. And I just figured I would show and talk because I love to talk and show. So we were doing marsh. I love marsh. We talk about how in series there's a lot to be learned, and so you'll see this marsh again and again, and hopefully learning something, changing something, talking about different aspects of the marsh. So there's some nice pictorial space in here. I love when I compliment my own paintings, right? But like you can start here in this warm and you can feel a distance. And some marks that are made are like big in the foreground and then distant in the back. Yet it's the same grasses that are here as are back there. It's just you lose the clarity, right? But then I was looking at work because I'm always looking. And a friend was kind of changing up her books and asked me if I wanted some art books. So I said yes. And it feels like the universe drops things in your lap when you're supposed to pay attention to them. And so this one is Unknown Terrain, The Landscapes of Andrew Wyeth. And I've always loved Andrew Wyeth, his dad NC and his son Jamie. And I love this idea of maybe lesser known works to take a look at. So here's an untitled. Titles are hard, but also here. It's watercolor, so it'll act a little different than gouache that we're working with, but still like big, bold, confident marks that are very much told with probably a big brush. I went through and marked out, like here's one. Look at this tree. And hardly any color. And an interesting contrast, right? And then finally, here's one that might be hard to see on camera, but the point will come across. And this one is another untitled, but it is a tree and distant tree line with snow and a sky that's bright. And so it got me thinking that I want to say more with bigger brushes and less marks. And it's something that I say all the time, right? As much as you can with as few marks. But if I'm working this size, like see, some of the marks are little. So maybe we try to use bigger brushes. So we'll see what happens. But I wanted to show you the progress. So I was looking at this in the studio. A lot of art is looking through books, at galleries, at your friends' collections, whatever it is, go look, just look. And so I was saying I wanted bigger brushes, more gesture, more feeling. And so I did this one. And I liked that there's more space for openness, right? Not everything is a mark. Those are big brushes. And I used, of course, I don't have it with me, but like this is an inexpensive chip brush from the paint store. And look at that. That's a mess, right? But that and a bigger, wider one were a lot of these marks, and they look very natural. So an artist that the algorithm suggested to me on Instagram was talking about movement. And I was like, there is movement, right? We move through this scene. But then I did this one. So same colors, giant brush, much quicker, much wetter. And I thought it was fun to show, right? So similar, but different energy. Can you see them both, right? So that is kind of what my goal is here. We're going to talk about how to make a painting, and a smaller one today. Maybe we can get one in this episode. And we're going to do the riverbank in my town. This is the one that I've talked about a few times. It's called Hunter's Field. My gosh. And my value study. It's just handy dandy. And I'll make a little square, and I'm going to use bigger brushes. And so I brought these out. And these are, 1/2-inch flats, and then some pretty fat rounds, 10 and 9. Interesting, I talk about brushes don't really matter, get whatever kind, but natural bristle matters because you hold more water and you get more of a mark from your brush. So again, with gouache, my set needed to almost entirely be refilled because I've been painting so much. What a nice feeling that is, like a nice accomplishment. Oh, and I read something that I wanted to share, and it's, I'm going to try something different today for me. Who knows what the result will be? And my job as the painter artist is just to do. Who cares about the result? And I'm doing it here and talking about it along the way. Great. But the thing that I read was, don't be afraid to make work that is beep, right? Poop. Because it's great fertilizer, right? And what a good thought that, right? Every example of painting you learn, and we will see what then the next one is, right? And so here we are. This is what we call, artists in the area call Hunter's Field, after Robert Douglas Hunter, who painted there quite a lot. And you can look him up on Google. His work is lovely, and he would go and paint this and give himself only an hour and a half. I was driving my daughter back to college. She had come home for the first time, and it was heaven to see her. And as I was driving by, the sky was like this. Bad printout, who cares? You get the gist. And so, my kids kind of roll their eyes knowing as I'm putting on my directional, of course she's putting on her directional, we have to stop. And while I stopped, someone else had already stopped and was taking photos. And she is the woman who owns one of the greenhouses in town, where I buy a lot of my seedlings and plants. So it was kind of fun to run into someone who saw the same thing I saw. And so remember, big shapes. This here is the shadow of this tree. And I've done that other marsh scene so often. You can see similarities here in this scene. But, it's not the ocean, it's just a river, but we're gonna make it, it'll have references to the way that I paint that marsh. All right, so maybe top to bottom, I'm gonna try this big brush and see what happens. Let's see. So, while I am mixing just a nice light color for the sky, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I've had so many really touching emails, and one in particular that just talked about someone's journey back to painting after a little hiatus from it, and that it's, you don't ever have to even show anyone what you do. You're just sitting with you, the decisions that you make, and the opportunity to notice nature in a new way. So my daughter also told me that in one of her studies, she and her friend watched the show, which is so funny, so hi to them. kind of intimidating, but I also am very flattered. You know, and I'm so appreciative too of everyone here who's helping make the show happen. It's such a nice resource to be able to come and record. And you know, I'm noticing I'm painting better. I'm noticing things differently. And so that's good because, you know, as artists, we're just kind of in our own little studio space quietly, scheming and thinking. So here I am with an excuse to, you know, push myself and do things differently. So, as always, I am mixing things on my palette, like near each other. It's pretty wet, so I don't want that to run. So that I can see, like, is that pinky color the best version? I think it looks pretty good. And I'm trying to do quicker than usual. Smaller, quicker. I don't want to re-say something, right? Don't you hate when you're in a conversation and the person just repeats themselves again and again, right? So make a mark, get out. Easier said than done. That's what I try. So it's a little dark, but I'm going to let it dry and I'll address it again. Maybe. What happens if I just, oh, pink, kind of wonderful. And then like a salmon-y color, let's see. And the, like, mark making, make it matter, like the direction that you make marks, right? That'll inform us a lot of things. So we kind of have a rudimentary sky, dark tree line shapes next. I'm starting with my Prussian blue and I'm going to add orange. And with this brush, it gets really yucky in there, but you know, like I've said before, gouache, you just clean it up, you can lift it off, you can mix it in. And see how this brush, the mess it is like making the edges very messy. I'll fix that, that's okay. I'm going to take this dark color and I added my crimson to it and I'm going to make the dark down here. Now it's probably hard to tell on camera because they're just dark, but this one is redder and warmer and that'll come forward in space. And I am scumbling, like dry brush, dragging this around because when I do the space around it, it will get smaller and kind of cleaned up. And when I put my brush in, if I want to give it a little bit more, like the paint a little more liquid to flow, I don't put the whole brush in because then it will be totally overloaded. So I just kind of kiss it into the water. Just on its side, just enough. So you'll see, like, I'm trying to get a variation and a modulation of marks, but I can't really. I kind of think that that's as fine a line as I can get. So one thing that I was taught very much in my landscape painting classes is like, you know, the color of the trees in the very distance is different than this color, different than this, different than that. And so I keep trying to show all those differences when I paint, but you know, like it gets really busy. So I'm wondering, is there a green that I can call the bulk of the grasses? And so that's what I'm going to try to mix. And always, like I said, adjacent, right? So we have sky colors, dark trees, and now I'm trying to figure out what is this green. I'm going to add orange to it, a bit of orange. right? Because if I hold it here, it can help me get an idea. Is it like neutralized enough? Nature isn't right out of the tube. Nature feels more earthy, like the colors in it are definitely earthy. I think I did an all right job. So let's see. I just want to, I always say, claim the space, cover the surface. I didn't mix enough, so I'm going to mix a little more. But I had a nice neutral green and I added orange. So the green was too blue, so in adding orange I get the yellow and the red to it. So it's kind of like two birds, one stone, because if I had a very clean palette of only Impressionist tones, then I would have to mix like yellow into it and red. All right. So the point in using a bigger brush here on a smaller surface is to get a sense of movement and see how much I can do in short time. Right, we're definitely covering the canvas in record time. Okay, so over here, now, there are trees in the back. There's a tree here. No one knows this, they just know this, so I'm very much responding to what's here. Let's see, I want this to be like darker green. So what I want to do is, I'm going to yellow this up. So I'm going to figure out, what is that color? I'm adding like a raw ochre or raw sienna, yellow ochre. I think it needs to be a little lighter because I want to create that, remember we called it atmospheric perspective, that concept of trying to push the viewer back in space. The other thing I want to really stress is you probably have some brushes at home now. You probably have paints and paper. So what you have is good enough. You don't need anything fancy. It's fun to have art supplies. I always said like a good art supply store felt like a hardware store for artists, All right, so that's going to be well, I'll just let it dry. It's funny, as soon as I see the paper scooching through, it's like I have to cover it up. And sometimes the paper showing through kind of can make the surface of your painting bedazzly. Sometimes I never know the word I'm going to come up with, and I kind of laugh at myself with what I land on. But dazzly sounds good. So I started making my own green, and I did it with that cerulean, which is that aqua-y sky color. And, right, that's my tree line in the back. There are like funky little trees between these guys. All right. So I know we are cruising along. So I'm going to go to a smaller brush. Now this one isn't natural bristle, so look at how much better it holds together. Can you guys see this? So this is the one that's natural bristles, and this is synthetic. And my lines are going to be so different in each. And so just play with them. See what the difference is for you. Okay. So now I want to get in some of the variation and clean up some of the space that I have created, some of the mess that I've made. So I'll start at the top. My brush is still splayed and messy, but now it's smaller. Might not be small enough, but I'm trying. I used this brush in a prior episode and the top fell off. And so I liked it so much that I glued the top back on. Little water. Okay. Really thinking about like movement. I want that a little darker. And I'll get in some of these highlights in a moment. Right now, I just want some of the important contrasty bits to show up. So if this is the tree in the distance, then this is the tree in reflection. And then this is some of this foreground. Okay, and I made a little bit of a, right, my brush kind of claimed over here, no worries. Fun. Just having fun. Oh, bad color. No worries. I've been very much using orange in here today with my greens to kind of make them a little more believable. And, you know, that makes sense because the light that's being cast all throughout is so orange. And in past episodes, I say things like, so much happens at the end, and as we're winding down and I'm trying to get something that I feel proud of and excited about, like I'll start really making swooping decisions. All right, is this dry enough? Sorta. So sometimes if it's like I need to paint, I don't want to wait, then I just paint thicker because that'll sit on the surface. And so that's what I'm trying to do for the water. I'm going to use a different brush because I want it to be clean here, right? And I've got those cheaty colors on my palette, right? Like a light yellow and a pink. Okay, so I'm gonna hold my brush sideways and just kind of pick up paint and dabble it in. A little water so that it flows. But see what I mean about, we fill in, oh, there's grasses over there, or oh, that might be the reflection, or we just like the design of it. That's the other thing, like the paintings can be abstract. They don't even have to say anything. It can be, I like these colors together. And while I'm playing with these colors, I want to consider the sky. And again, right, I have this horizontal that I'm playing in a square. Oh, and then I was like, I can't believe we're at episode 14 and I've yet to tell my favorite story. And it was my professor was like, oh, Kim, this is a great painting. I feel so funny telling stories like that, but this is a great painting. Like there are some little, and then she would do like this part here, not in this painting, but in that one in my memory, right, is so good. And I'd be like, but that little light bit just happened. Like I didn't plan for it. It just happened when I was painting. And she said, yes, but you left it. And I like that, right? Because part of being the artist is we're editors. And things do just happen with our brush, our edges, whatever it is. And we can cover them over or we can leave them. And so I think that's the thing. That thing just happened. Yes, it just happened, but you left it. You didn't cover it over. And so You want to paint like fast and with movement and joyful energy, but you also want to be slow enough that you see where good things are and you don't cover them up. And we are definitely starting to pare down for the end of the episode. And I don't want to take this one into the next. So this might be one that you'll be like, oh, she really needs to work on that at home. But I'll put this on my website, right, kimweineck.com, and you can play and see what you could do. Right, so nice energy, fewer marks, smaller brush. I could go smaller now and get in some of the fussy bits if I want. I think I want. So this will be one that in a couple episodes, I'll pull it back out and be like, here's where we landed. I think working 2 paintings per episode, I mean, a painting takes 2 episodes was fun, but I missed having the opportunity to really look at things in my studio too. So. Let's take a look. Right, and sometimes when it's too close, we're paying too much attention up close, you know, you miss out on things. So just stepping back in the final marks before we finish up this episode, you know, like have fun, realize that painting is really like about the joyful marks that you can make and that there's experimentation to happen. Let's do one thing over here. Also, right, like, yeah, need confidence to make paintings kind of sing, and you only learn confidence by doing and trying. I remember teaching this one man and he's like, but I did it in my head. And I'm like, that's not the same. You have to explore, you have to try, you have to make marks, you have to make a mess. You have to do what I said. Don't be afraid to make work that's not so good because it's great fertilizer. So thanks for tuning in. All right. So I'll clean up some of the edges and revisit where the light is and maybe introduce more of that blue for contrast. But I really like what we did.